Welcome to Creating Disney Magic with Lee Cockerell. Lessons in leadership, management, and customer service. You can create magic too. I'm your host, Jody Mayberry, and I'm here with Lee Cockerell, and we're going to do another listener question. If you have a question or a topic you would like Lee to discuss, just reach out to either one of us, Lee at leecockerell.com, Jody at jodymayberry.com. Okay, Lee, the question is this is I think this is kind of executive presence. So they said that they're under the microscope of their executives, that they meet with them weekly. They talk about sales and how to change our training programs to align with our company values. I'm trying to learn more about how to properly compose myself and create credibility with my limited experience in management for this company. So I think that is interesting, and it opens up a bigger topic of executive presence. So it sounds like they're a fairly new manager in the company, and perhaps uh, aren't taken seriously, or at least aren't seen with the credibility of some of the longer term executives. So how do you do that, Lee? You're new, but you have to come in and present to the executives every week about the company culture and the training programs.
Yeah, I mean, I've had the same situation. When you first get there, you don't understand everything. You don't understand how things works. It takes time. I think for this person, they've just got to make sure that they work every all week long, becoming more and more knowledgeable about whatever the products are and what the solutions might be. And I think hopefully the executives are not setting up a environment or a culture which is makes people afraid to speak up and have to be perfect knowledge. And I think this person just, you could practice on if he knows the subjects that are going to come up in advance, just prepare your little cheat sheets or the kinds of things you would talk about for customer service or hiring new employees or bringing people on and ask other people what they think. You can collect all the kinds of data you want from other people about these subjects and people who've been there for a long time. If I was in that job or any job I'm in, I'm always going around asking the employees, "What do you think about this? What do you think about that? What would you do? What should I do? If you were in my job, what would you do?" And I collect all those thoughts and ideas so that I kind of have a good bank of things to say about a subject. And of course, I read about those subjects a lot, so you just got to fill your mind up with possibilities and ideas, and on whatever subject it is. I said, the other day I was telling somebody, if you want to be an expert, you first got to decide what do you want to be an expert in. And if you love that subject, then you just get all over it and you read about it and you go on websites and you you push yourself to know more than anybody else does about that subject. And today, a lot of that is can be gained by seeing what other companies are doing, what some of the best companies are doing. You can Google that. You can go Google those subjects, and there'll be a lot of data available for you and recommendations. And you can come to the Cockerell Academy. You can. We've got a lot of solutions to everything related to leadership, management, culture, customer service, the frontline rules. We could probably answer 99% of their questions if somebody wanted to know more about how to do that. Because why? Because we've done it. I did it for 42 years, and I did it with great companies, Hilton, Marriott, and Disney. So I think my exposure and experience is high quality. I guess that's what I would say. So I probably have more thoughts and ideas on that. So you've just got to be know that if you're going to be taken seriously, you've got to really prepare yourself and keep preparing yourself and have lots of new ideas and not be afraid to speak up. You know, hey, here's an idea. I don't know if you guys like it. Here, let me tell you what it is. And this is something we could consider. And here's somebody I found out was doing it and they're having good success with it. And you can't be too bashful if that's your job to convince others about kinds of things you should be doing in your organization. And a lot of executives are intimidating, I know, but you got to push through that because if that's the case, you probably don't want to work for that organization. So That's the way I would think about it. If I'm in the job, I'm going to say what I think, and I'm going to be prepared, and I'm going to have good ideas. And every week, by the next week, I'm going to have read enough and looked on that subject and understood it before I get to the next meeting. And if that's what he has to do. He's just got to absorb himself and don't be bashful about speaking up. Worst thing, people are not going to like a lot of your ideas. I get that all the time, but they might like it. And you may be right, by the way. Don't just because somebody doesn't like it doesn't mean you're not right. And so the better you can get organized, the better knowledge you can have about it, and the right sources. You go in there and you feel totally confident that this is something. This is my thing. This is what I know. This is what I can speak about. And I feel that way about what I do because. A lot of it is experience, and a lot of it is the exposure I've had, and continual knowledge, continual learning. So become an expert, and you'll probably come off as an expert. Yeah.
Yeah, great advice from Lee, and that's that's it. That you, when you're trying to compose yourself and create credibility, as Lee was talking, he touched on some of the important pieces. The making sure that the executives know you're knowledgeable on the topic, that helps build credibility. Having confidence that you're the right person and you know what you're doing, that helps create credibility. Results, Lee can tell you when you're an executive, results speak pretty loud because that's what matters in most cases. And experience, just showing, hey, I've done this before. Lee said he's done it at Hilton, he's done it at Marriott. Well, that matters when you get to Disney, that you've got experience and you've done it before.
Yeah. And I think one thing is the executive in that business should be setting the stage that there are no bad ideas. We want to hear them all. And if the executive would make the room more comfortable and more open, you know, I every meeting I go to, I tell them there are no bad ideas because that little idea that's not that great can be added on to by two other people, and before we get out of the room, we got a great idea. So intimidation is really evil. I mean, it is. When you're afraid to speak up, that's when things start to go sideways.
Yeah. And one thing I have learned, Lee, about intimidation is sometimes what you feel intimidated by isn't exactly what you think it is. Because if there's an executive who doesn't talk much, sometimes we read into that means something, and it doesn't always.
Yeah, we shouldn't be. Just pay attention to what you're good at, and don't overthink this stuff because your brain will take you down a path that's probably not even appropriate, where you become insecure for no reason. Yeah.
Yeah, it does happen. And since we're talking about being good at what you do and being credible, well, if you're going to travel, Magical Vacation Planner, they have a lot of credibility in travel and planning. You can reach them at 407-442-2694. I've used them many times, and they know what they're talking about, and they can. I've used them for cruises and Vegas and Orlando and all sorts of places. They do great work. Okay, Lee, so in those situations that you've been in where there's executives, it's a little intimidating, you feel a little out of place. What have you done to help with your presence in the room, your executive presence?
Well, at one point, I was reporting to the president of Walt Disney World, and he was a little intimidating because he's really a smart, super guy. And I asked him one day, I said, "Hey, I was getting frustrated about it." And I said, "Listen, how much is my pay for my opinion?" He said, "That's what most of it is." And I said, "Good. And I'm just going to start speaking up more. And if you like my idea, great. If you don't, you just ignore it." But I think you just got to address it because if you're on a job where you don't feel comfortable expressing your opinion, you're probably not going to like that job, and you're not going to be successful in it because you may be in the wrong environment. And I would say that to the person. Even an idea when you're in a meeting, everybody's there saying, you could say, "I don't know if this is a good idea, but here's one thing we ought to think about. Maybe we can expand on this. I just heard about this and I saw some other people doing it. I don't have any personal experience with it, but could be a good idea. Might not be a good idea. We ought to explore it further." Yeah. So just be out there. We've all got to get to be more open. I think like Francis Hesselbein used to tell me, the organizational chart should be a circle with you in the middle, the leader, and everybody around you advises you and helps you and gives you advice and tells you a better way to do things. They're not your boss. And the leaders that do that are going to be very successful, because I don't know how many people get in trouble because they don't know the truth, because people are too afraid and too intimidated to tell them the truth. And next thing you know, things go sideways, and they didn't have to. Yeah.
That is an interesting way to look at it, because I feel like most people, if you say draw an organizational chart for your company, it looks like the first thing that comes to mind is Lee Cockerell on top and then all these departments and people underneath. To look at it as circular, where all the departments and people surround Lee Cockerell with him in the middle, is completely different. And it's a different way to think about your organization and how it operates.
It's the most effective that you could is be in that middle and have all your experts helping you make the right decision. And I can tell you that companies are going to have to figure out how to do that, because they got to get off this ego trips and think they know everything, because the boss doesn't know half the stuff he should know, and it's a problem. And it some companies are doing a good job with it, but I can tell you, any meeting I'm in, I make it very clear, hey guys, I don't know anything about this, please help me understand it. What would you do? Let's come out of this room with a good decision and good ideas, and there's no bad ideas, let them fly.
Yes. And I think with that circular organizational chart, it really helps with that, to understand there's not someone at the top. There's someone in the middle surrounded by good people trying to get the important work done. Well, if you want help with ideas like this, a great place to start is the Main Street Leader. Comes out every month, and it's about leadership, management, culture, customer service. There's articles about safety. There's an article I believe every edition that's advice from Lee's mother, which is my always my favorite piece of that. You can find that. Go to cockerellacademy.com, and there's a place to sign up for the Main Street Leader. It is one of I think it's the best value that we offer, because it is only $9.95 per month, and you get that, something that you can focus on. You take what you learn and you focus on it that month, and the next month you take what you learn and focus on it that month. So you can find that at cockerellacademy.com. Until next week, go out and create magic for others.